Yo, YouTube, welcome back. It is a No Level Cap podcast, and today we will be reviewing the animated film Belle.
Yo, what's good, people? Welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast with all your friendly neighborhood black nerds, where we cover all the anime, all the gaming, all the nerd culture stuff with zero of the BS. Back with a new episode every Monday morning. I am your host, Sage Ashford. These are my co-hosts, Rajhkeem Beck, Devin Butts, Terance Flowers, Will Coleman. Like this week, like Will said, we're reviewing the 2021 film Belle, directed by Mamoru Hosoda, also known for his work on The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, and interestingly enough, it's the reference for me and Rajhkeem, Digimon the movie. So
coincidence? I think not.
It's a little interesting. We were watching the film, and Rajhkeem, like every time we got to like the U sections, Rajhkeem was always like, "Hey man, these Digimon, you can't fool me." And it's like, well, maybe maybe he was inspired just a little bit.
He did Summer Wars too, right?
He did.
Yeah, he also did Summer Wars. Yeah,
which I mean, when people saw that, they were like, "Hey, this is just Digimon." So there you go. My man loves the internet.
Hey, and then he loved Digimon.
I mean, that's a fertile topic for people to comment on. So, it premiered at the 2021 Cannes Film Festival. Released January 15th there. I think the global release is January. Not January. July 15th there in 2021. I think the global release is July 16th. Made about 64.7 million. Apparently got a 14-minute ovation at the film festival. Now, I will say, I think that's become like a thing there where like films that premiere at Cannes, they like try to do like these long ovations and every film got to top the last film for ovations, which just seems like after a while you'd be like, all right, man, I'm tired, man. All this clapping.
Standing for 14 minutes clapping. I don't think I could do that for any film.
I ain't got it, man.
My hands.
I feel like I read that somewhere a while back. I'd have to look up the article. I might put it in the comments or something when we post this. But yeah, like I do want to talk about this film because none of us, except me and Rajhkeem watched it together. Everybody else I know watched it separately. So I am very curious to see what people think about this film. Devin, what'd you think, bro?
I actually thoroughly enjoyed this. I first want to start off by giving. I had to go look up this person's name because like the stuff I was seeing in this film was just incredible in regards to like the art direction. The art director for the film is Nobutaka Ike. Shout out to them because the scenes, especially in the U universe, there was so many shots that, especially at the end, there was a specific shot where Belle, she was being unveiled, that like this cloud of people around her and the green light coming out was such a beautiful shot. Even her, just like when she was in her real form singing, you could see the horizon. Just some of the most beautiful shots I've ever seen. Like literally just like art, like the basic design principles at their maximum. If you look at like the whales coming out there with like the shadows, the silhouettes, you got your darks, like all the contrast, it was amazing. So just from a person that's like, studied art, went to school for it and knows that stuff, looking at that, like I got to shout out that person because the art, I love the art. That's visual treat. If this movie is at least one thing, it is a visual treat for your eyes. And the CG's not bad either. A lot of times, every time we talk about animated stuff, anime films or whatever, or shows, the CG usually be trash. It sucks. I was watching the Guts anime and I just couldn't do it because the CG just sucked. And then you go to the flashbacks with this dope hand-drawn animation. It's like, oh, that looks cool. And you come back to the CG that sucks. Anyway, I remember y'all Keem and Say talking about Kingdom. Oh, this show is great. Animation sucks.
Yeah.
But anyway. So yeah, this film was beautiful. Of course, 2021. So it was made in an era where we're like a lot of social commentary and stuff like that. This movie had a lot of that. I mean, even just the whole thing, like on a app that you dive into technically. on some Sword Art Online type stuff, and you would have an avatar that uses your strengths. All this stuff is kind of like related to just like current, technology and stuff like that. I mean, the metaverse, which ain't doing that well apparently, is doing nothing but losing money apparently. You can go on there and buy a till of land for like, 10 grand real in USD or whatever. Anyway, this film was nice. It had some action in it in certain points, but it was really just like almost like how do I want to put it? A lot of character development in some ways, like coming to terms with certain things like trauma. Trauma was a big thing about this movie. I felt like pain of lost, like past events and stuff that happened with the main characters. There was a moment she saw her losing her mother because her mother was just being a great person trying to save another child. She unfortunately lost her mom in that scenario, which was kind of sad. And then her seeing like, hey, well, it's like her saying like, hey, did you not love me? And was the love for me not enough that you wanted to save another child? And, so that was kind of some stuff like, man, that's some heavy stuff going on here. Even like this movie didn't technically have a villain. I guess it kind of had what was portrayed as a villain, but the real villain, I thought I never would see somebody I despise more than Dio. Dio, y'all know who Dio is from JoJo, but that father. Boy, hey, bro. I'm talking about, anybody that has gone through that in real life, that is terrible. And just seeing this anime, it's like, bro, you suck. You absolutely suck. These are your children, your offspring, people that you brought into this world, and you treat them like they're garbage. Like telling them like, hey, you have no, bro. When I saw what their father was doing, I'm like, bro, I actually thought for a minute he was actually in the U universe and he was like the Justice. I thought he was like going to be the guy that was
implied that he is, even though they don't confirm it. Like there's enough mannerism crossover to kind of believe that they're one and the same person, even though the movie doesn't confirm it itself.
Yeah. But Suzu, she's I would say just a little bit of maybe a smidgen timid of a person, but she seems like a good person. She loves music. Part of the thing, I think the incident with her mother, I think she kind of lost her urge to sing, or her lost her voice. So that comes up in the film, and then it's kind of revitalized when she actually finds out about the U app, and then she gets in there and her avatar is like sings really well, and she's like, wait, I don't even really sing. And like it's like, well, this is your strength, singing. So that kind of spurred her on to sing more when she realized, like, oh, this was my gift, my strength to sing. This film it was just so many good parts of this film. Like I said, just a visual treat overall. Watching her, like, again, social commentary go from 0 followers to like 2 million plus overnight, the overnight celebrity that we always talk about in like the streaming world and just like content creation in general. Yeah, she blew up overnight. But it was like this like layer over, because it's like people don't know who you are. It's like the anonymity to it, because it's like it's just your avatar. And then there's this whole thing in the U universe about becoming unveiled, so we'll see who you are. And I guess like you just fade away once people see who you are. I did like the design. I also like the fact that they took like a Disney fairy tale story and kind of just translated into like this way. I thought that was pretty dope. I'm a big fan of seeing like those stories and those like old fairy tales like transformed in some way. In this way, I mean, I like Eliza P, was basically it's Pinocchio, but that's a much darker tone. This is not as dark, but just like having that conversation about like pain and suffering and what you're going through. I like the designs of the Justice. Kind of puts me in the mindset of like Astro Boy a little bit. And the main guy, he looked like he walked straight out of Mega Man Battle Network. He looked like he walked straight out of Mega Man. Like, but this was a great film. I actually really enjoyed this film. The soundtrack is dope. Like that first song, I was like, okay, hold on now. I was like, I didn't even know what to expect. She was singing. I'm like, okay, I hear you, Bill. Like just and it's funny because like at the end of the movie, she talks to her father, which actually I got something to say about that in terms of in real life. When she goes to confront those kids that she saw online, who she finds out who is actually the Beast, or they call him Dragon. She actually becomes a mother because she did the same exact thing her mother did, just in a different context.
Yeah,
she went far and wide away to just meet these people that she never met before, dangerous in itself by herself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like the adults.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, y'all ain't gonna go with her? They was like, are you sure? I'm like,
yeah.
y'all should have just been like,
I have
hey,
something to say about that.
Yeah,
I'm like, y'all should have taken the executive decision. Hey, you're not going by yourself. I'm sorry. We gonna come with you because that whole part was like, all right.
I got the money for one ticket. Like, what's going on, man?
And what was funny, like
my breath. I was like, please.
What was funny, the women from the choir, they like got in the car, like, we're gonna drive all the way to Tokyo. That woman, she was whipping that little bad boy. I was like, are they gonna drive all the way to Tokyo? I'm like, no, definitely no. I'm like, okay, she's gonna take a train. But yeah, like she gets there, and I'm just like, this. It kind of fell apart a little bit at the end for me, just because I'm like, this is very outlandish. Because like this will not happen.
Yeah.
But she just basically did the same thing. Exactly. But she basically did the same thing her mom did. And actually, I thought that when she was talking to her father, she even called him like, hey, I'm going away for a while. I'm like, you just cool with this? Like, all right. But yeah, I thought he was going to actually tell her. He's like, you know what? He said something to him. He's like, I thought he was going to say, you're just like your mother was. But I think they kind of implied it in that scene. It's like she did the same thing. Your mother just jumped out there in danger, knowingly danger, and just, tried to save somebody. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out well for her. She lost her life, but she did the same thing. She didn't lose her life, but in a comparison, it was basically the same thing. So yeah, this, like, the emotional pulls in this movie, just about trying to. Also, the guy at the beginning, what was his name? The one with the canoe.
She had a nickname for him.
Kamishi.
Yeah. Man, he came out there, hey, man, anybody want to join the canoe club?
Everybody like
and then her friend was like, he's the only person in that club. I'm like, that was hilarious. But I mean, he was apparently really good. So I'm like, man, y'all should have joined because he was out here making nationals and stuff like that. He was a little bit of the comedic relief. Her friend also was like, first of all, why you got a friend that's like, just like a world-class hacker? Like, what's going on here? She's like,
and y'all on the outer edges of Japan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she found out all this stuff. I'm like, hold on now, wait a minute. You got that much information from that little piece of something? I'm like, all right, man.
Yeah.
Hold on now.
Cleaning up images and everything.
Yeah. and wasn't she also like her producer?
I think so.
Oh, yeah.
She was, in a sense, like, she was doing a little bit of everything. That's why at the end of the film, or toward the end of it, when Shinobu was like telling Suzu, like, hey, you need to reveal yourself, she was kind of like, you're sacrificing everything that we built up. And I'm like,
yeah. Almost like a manager.
Making it more about like herself than like the moment that shit was really going down.
Yep. It even had like parts, even like a Vegeta moment where what was the lady Sue? What was her name? Peggy Sue. Like, she was like the previous like star, and then Belle came in and just like made her irrelevant. At the end, I felt like that was a moment where she was like kind of had some tension, like, oh, you come in and steal my spotlight. But at the end, even she had a Vegeta moment. She's like, Goku, you are the best. Like, she's like, sing, Belle. So that was kind of cool to see her have some character development, just for that like difference of her, how she was at the beginning of the movie to the end. She's like, hey, bro, this bigger than me. But yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Now I want to talk about the ending. Y'all know all of us on here as black children, as we once were. You call your parents talking about some, hey mom, I'm going away for a while. I'm going somewhere far away. Well, if you don't bring up the part where, first of all, the city in a whole other city. Second of all, this is the plot armor we talk about, or not plot armor, but just like the plot points. How do y'all just meet each other in the exact spot?
Yeah.
To me, like, that was kind of like the least of my worries. Well, I'm sure you're going to get to it, but yeah.
oh yeah. Then the fact that the father showed up, I'm like, he gonna punch his girl? I mean, first of all, he scratched her face hard up to draw blood, like a good amount of blood, and he was about to punch his girl, and also I'm like, how did he get scared of her? Like, she just stared him down. I guess she had a death stare. Like, her eyes, she wasn't moving. She was.
I'm gonna take it he wasn't ready for that. I'm gonna say that just as a write off. Like, he was just looking like, oh, she really ain't backing down for me.
I think it's also one of those things where it's
I didn't think she would do that.
You
were
as a
solid.
hopefully, I think it was one of the things where he realized in the moment he was the bad guy. It's like, dude, you're about to punch.
Yeah,
You're about
that's what it
to
was.
punch a
Okay,
teenage girl.
yeah.
It's like I think
Yeah.
that's when he
That ain't got
realized.
nothing to do with your family, just
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
stranger.
Just
Yeah,
somebody
I
you
think that's
don't
just
know.
when
That's
he
a good
realized that
point.
he had gone too far.
Yep, that's a good point. He
Mhm.
realized, like, what am I doing? Because he was like, he thought about it though. He was like,
No, he definitely thought about it.
He was like, I'll do it again. Like, he thought about it.
You thought about it.
He didn't go through with it. But he definitely was like,
Thank
I'm
God.
going to punch you, little girl. You know. But I think so. That's a good point to make, Terrence. The fact that his two sons were also there. He's like, he would think like they think of me. What, like, I guess he didn't. It doesn't really matter because he's like, well, they're my children and I can do what I want. But I guess them seeing me do this, it's like, man, what am I doing? So hopefully after that he became a better father. Hopefully, let's hope.
After that, he ain't my
That's
he
left
ain't-
up
he
to
ain't
our
stay-
interpretation.
he
We
ain't
don't.
stay-
We don't.
kids
I
ain't
would
staying with
assume that they had gotten whatever
Yeah.
Japan's equivalent of CPS is involved in that
yeah.
situation. I hope.
Yeah.
If at the end of that he still them kids are still staying with him, then that the dragon, he was right the whole time. Like, once again, somebody talking about help and they ain't did a damn thing for us.
Yeah, he did indeed say
Yeah.
that.
They don't show
He
us,
did.
but I'm going to assume that hopefully the adults actually got involved and
Yeah.
did what they were
Yes.
supposed to and got him up on out of there. Hopefully.
Yeah,
hope so.
hopefully so.
I would
But
hope so too.
The last part was she came back to her father and he was like, "You want to have dinner?" That is not how that would go. Boy, if you don't come in, boy, I'll slap the black up. What? That is not how that would go.
Well, it's just more abuse.
I mean,
that would be
The
the
cycle
right.
came
That
back
would be
home.
the right way to
In-
end this
in-
film.
I'm in some. It ain't gotta be you. You would get fussed at. It wouldn't be that calm. Hey, you back? No. Come here, boy. You grinding for the whole year. Like that's not how that's happened. You went off to some other city by yourself with strangers, almost got punched by a grown man. You grounded.
I
You
think
need
just
nothing
in this
but-
case that the dad, I mean, it's obvious he saw how much the mom being gone affected
Affected her,
Suzu, and
Yeah.
I think he was
Mhm.
trying to be compassionate while also giving her that space, like that distance. And
Yeah.
I think both
That's
of them
what he was
didn't
doing.
know exactly how to like really talk to each other, even though
Yeah.
he was trying to be
Yeah.
more open than she was, and it wasn't until the end where she like finally was more accepting of like talking to him. So.
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
a
just
good
in this
point.
case, that's the reason why he wasn't like hard on her.
Yeah, I think a
That's a
lot
good
of her like not being open really came from the fact that she spent a lot of time with her mother and having lost her mother. Like
Yeah.
Devin said, she had
Yeah.
kind of lost touch with the music and the singing and everything because you saw as growing up as a child, she had the little keyboard apps on the phone and she was writing and doing all this. She was enjoying that. But when you lose someone that taught you something like that, it's like a part of you just left and you can't really look at it the same no more. You just like, I can't do this no more because the person who gave it to me isn't here. So
Yeah.
I think that's what really closed her off from her dad because she was upset at her mom, but she wasn't really upset at him. She was just like, I can't really talk to you about this because I don't know how to express that.
Yeah.
That's what that was. It's also a showing of grief too. So
Yeah.
You got to also understand, and in some regard too, the father is also in that shared trauma because that was his wife.
yeah, right.
And
That
so
was his wife.
like
We just don't see it
sometimes
from his perspective.
Yeah,
we don't
just
see it from his side.
you lose a part of your connection as well, and I think that divide happened because he was also dealing with those similar feelings and didn't know how to express them or share them with the daughter.
Yep. But all in all, for me, a great film. I did watch Summer Wars. I did enjoy that, and when I saw this, like, I remember we had talked about it. But when I looked at it, I'm like, this looked like it's by the person who did Summer Wars, and that was correct. Same vibe with that U World. It's like that's what their thing is. That U World style of like characters and stuff. That's what they do.
Yep.
I give this a strong 8.5. I really enjoyed this. Soundtrack was awesome. Visuals are great. So a really interesting story about how dealing with grief and like just some social commentary mixed in there as well. Character development, things like that on how to being just a good person, like a woman, her mom saving a child, and she lost her life in the process of it. So yeah, I like this movie.
Okay. Will, what about you? Where do you stand on this film, bro?
Pretty solid on it being this is my first time ever sitting down with it, and I watched it in dub because I know that it has, most anime films have 2 different dubs. Have one in its native language and one in our native language. So I watched it in ours just to like go ahead and do it. My first thing to do with the movie was to just kind of watch like the first hour of it, then watch the second hour. But then somewhere along that first hour, I kind of got enthralled by it. So I was like, you know what, let me really go ahead and finish this movie. I'm not going to slack on watching it. And I must say that one, that's a pretty ass movie. just to keep it plain and simple. That movie is pretty. It's all get out. The U world and everything. The character designs are amazing. I was just sitting here like, wow, this is different. Like you just jack into this world by tapping your finger on a couple screen, putting in a couple earbuds, and you there. So I'm like, that's insane. I'm pretty sure we probably will have some level of technology like that, or we do have it as of right now. Ain't no telling. But I think this movie is awesome. Soundtrack's amazing. I love the plot. Suzu as a character, I enjoy watching her kind of go through the process of this whole thing. That's what I really like. Like Devin said, it's a lot of character development. And I enjoyed watching her go through a lot of it. Plus having her friend Shinobu there, even though he was kind of like on the in-between, like here and there. Like seeing him kind of pop up for her in times. And I love like those little scenes about them because, oh, this is a childhood friend. He's trying to be there for her, and he knows how to do it, but he's doing it in such a like, what's the way I'm looking for? Stoic, in like a stoic kind of way. He's just like, hey, you all right? Is everything good? What's going on at home? Dad, all right? he would just pull up on her in the weirdest of ways, trying to get her to like talk, and then the whole thing at school where he was like holding her hand, like trying to get her to talk, and everybody just like, what y'all doing over there? Y'all dating? Y'all dating? Let's talk about it.
Let's spread some rumors.
Let's start talking. Let's start spreading these rumors. And he was like the popular kid because he was hooping. You know what I'm saying? If y'all seen the animation on that, he was out there like
man,
that was one of the meanest step backs ever in anime.
I ain't gonna lie. I was like, hold on.
I was like, wait a minute now.
He went up. I was like, oh shit, he's cold.
That man was hooping.
Yeah, he was hooping. But back to the main part of the movie, I have to say I have a soft spot for the Beauty and the Beast because I grew up watching that like on tape as a kid, and I know the whole story. I had that. I used to watch that a lot with the Aladdin movies and whatnot. And knowing how much I love Beauty and the Beast then, and seeing like the comparisons and the parallels here with this, I was just like, yeah, this was a movie meant for me, and I just made it my business to watch it 4 years later. But I love the music. I love the musical spots. I love everything about it. I think one of my favorite scenes, though, I have to mention it because I want to throw that out here, was actually the whole it was the scene where she was getting ready to do the song. She was out walking about singing. Like Suzu herself was out walking and singing, and you would just see like different parts of the environment as she was walking by, going along, making a song in her head, just singing it. Because I think that was after she talked to the choir teachers, because that's another part of her like familiar connections, because those are people her mom knew after her mom passed, and she was still like doing things with them. And they told her to like make a song for the guy that she quote unquote liked, because they were kind of instigating like older women do in your high school romance life, because they know somehow that you got somebody you want. But yeah, she was just out singing and like putting this song together. You see all these different spots of the real world, but then it transitions to her being Belle and she's singing that song. And I was just like, that is a really cool way to show that song is coming together in her head. I really like that. And that other scene, like what I just mentioned with the rumors, how everybody was like getting like fired up about her and Shinobu quote unquote dating, and it turned into like a Three Kingdoms RPG.
That was
that was wild.
Yeah, like it just randomly turned into that, and now here she is putting out every single fire under the sun, just like, hey, it's not really happening like that. He don't even like me like that. We just cool. He just know me from like years ago. We've known each other since we were 6. We not dating. Please stop. Yeah, but overall, I thought it was a really amazing movie. I do have to say that I think the ending was something. I feel like they could have definitely took a tragic left turn with it if they wanted to, but I thank God they didn't, because boy, this movie would have had some people looking real sideways at that film festival if they did go the way it could have went. But thank God they gave her the motherly plot armor and everything went okay. So overall, I give this movie about a good 8.5 myself. I'm gonna go back and probably watch it again in Japanese to see how it goes, because apparently they kind of did well in translating how it went in Japanese to English. So I want to see how well that is in Japanese too.
Okay. So I've been trying to figure out for hours how I feel about this film, and I'm still not sure. Like, I think I enjoyed it, but there are a lot of weird gaps in logic. We'll get into it.
Yeah,
it's certainly beautifully animated. The clever use of 3D CG to show the difference between you and the real world, which does get the 2D animation. And one of the things I think there's some really great moments in 2D animation. The one that sticks out of my mind is when Suzu's friend Ruka is talking to her crush at the station. They did a great job of balancing like the awkward tension of trying to confess to a crush, but then also making it humorous in a way that only animation can, with like the exaggerated expressions on everybody's face and like how everybody wanted to just sneak out or like run off and shit. And like, if you go back and look at some of the individual frames in that moment, you'll find there's a lot of humor there. Even the part where Kamishin and Ruka start talking and they're like, what do you like? And it's like, oh, I like music. Oh, I like music too. Yeah, I like Belle. Yeah, she looks a lot like you. And Suzu was like, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. And she jumped. That shit was perfect. I also credit them for not going the way that I expected. Like, I'm watching and the dragon, and the entire time I was like, is it Shinobu? And then later,
I definitely thought it was him for a good minute.
And then later, of course, he turns out not to be the dragon. He turns out to just be a friend in Suzu's life. And then later, I was wondering if Dollar General All Might was like Kei's dad. They never confirmed that. And I mean, like, they hint at it, but I personally, I'm like, I feel like that's still a curveball. They never confirmed it. So I feel like he just shares characterization, but it seems like he's just a generic asshole, which makes sense because there's a lot of people like that in real life. Like, there are a lot of people that just want to be controlling. So it wouldn't be surprising if you ran across multiple people like that. Speaking of the dragon, I did dig the scene when you finally learn who he is, and like Suzu's like, oh, how can we help you? And he just starts talking about like help, and how people have always said they wanted to help, but no one was ever actually willing to do anything but offer just useless, pointless sentiment. And just like, oh, I've talked to your dad. Oh, he won't do it again. Oh, you just get through it, like all that type shit. It's like, nah, that shit was trash. And so I can understand him being that frustrated at somebody just once again coming in and saying, oh, I want to help you. Not only was the dialogue great there, but the voice lines, the intensity with which the voice lines were delivered was perfect. Side note, the Japanese VA for that scene is Takeru Sato, who is like a superstar in Japan, but people in America, especially like in, nerd circles, would probably know him best as the live action version of Kenshin Himura. Or you might know him as Kamen Rider Den-O. So those are the two roles that he would have played. When I was looking up,
you're a legend as far as my book,
right?
I know, right?
I was looking up like information on him, and they said I was looking at information on the movie, and they said Takeru Sato. I said, not the legend. So I had to go look.
It's him. Like, it's the legend.
It's the legend. But yeah, I was pretty shocked at that. It was a really cool person that they could tap. I have not brought up Suzu. One thing I thought that was really cool with Suzu is that she's not nearly as lonely as she seems. Like, on the contrary, she has this massive social circle of people that she can rely on. There is that point that y'all mentioned where the schoolgirls turn on her, but even that doesn't last very long. It's like a minute or two. It's mostly just to show off that fucking battle of Risk or whatever the fuck they was doing. But she's got friends. She's got a father that very clearly cares about her. She's got older mentors. She's got everything. She's just choosing not to reach out. And they're just waiting on her the entire time to like make that connection, to tap back in, to tell them, okay, this is how I'm doing. This is where I am in life. And that is something that loss can do to you. Loss can make you ignore the support that you do have until you decide that you're able and capable of moving on. And so I like that. I thought that was a really cool, like, subtle thing that you might pick up on, you might not. The music was solid. I am a Macross fan, so anything that talks about how music can unite people, that's always gonna fly with me. The voice actress Kaho Nakamura, I believe she does both the voice and the singing. She does have this kind of beautiful captivating voice that's powerful in a way where even if you didn't normally dig that kind of music, you still enjoy hearing her. She still grabs your attention. And then, of course, that last scene where she's singing in the hopes of getting Tomo and Kei to recognize that she is Belle. That's a beautiful moment. The part where everybody is still singing along with her voice. I thought that was like really okay. I fuck with this. That said, the film is fucking stuffed with shit, and it's just sometimes things aren't clear like I would want them to be. Like, how did everybody figure out that Suzu was Belle? She hasn't sung since she was a fucking child. Literally, they showed her try to sing, and she threw up.
Yeah.
She was out there trying to sing, and she like threw, and then man, they kept that vomit on her face for a while too. I was like, God,
you know
damn,
what?
Like,
this was my first time noticing that. Watching this again, like I was like, dang, did they keep the green on her face? It's like, yeah, they did.
I was like, damn, wipe your face off. Like, yeah, we ain't gotta live like this. I don't know how the VR works because apparently Suzu was able to walk around the real world and be active in the virtual world at the same time. And I'm like, how immersive is this virtual world if you could just do both? Like, I've heard of multitasking, but damn, like, there's that part where she's like running off. She puts on the VR set and she's running towards like the school. And I'm like, you finna enter the VR world while running? You about to get isekai'd if you don't be careful. Like, you better chill out. There are so many extra characters in here that arguably don't need to be here, even if you like their parts or even if you love their parts. It's great to have characters in a film that aren't plot-centric, that aren't strictly necessary to the plot, but in a film that's, you know, already stuffed, they add scenes that we don't need. And because of that, you have characters like Peggy Sue, who should have been more relevant to the story, but she appears like in the very beginning and then at the very end. And it's almost like she knows her, or if she doesn't know her, she certainly relates to her really strongly because she's like, oh, this girl's a regular girl just like me.
Yeah, like
and
maybe
like,
somebody from a class or something. Who knows?
Right,
it
right.
made me think that too.
But I mean, like, she doesn't get any character development whatsoever. She's just there at the beginning to be like, oh, this person's trash, and she don't sing. She's not that good of a singer, and then like all her fans just turn on her, which I guess is an important plot point because it's like, hey, you know, this is how quickly people can turn on you. Because she was one of the most popular people in you, and then Belle shows up, starts singing, and all of a sudden she's not popular anymore, and she's just like a normal person. So that was cool. But like, it's just I wish that she had gotten more focus and we had seen more about, like, I wish they had developed that part of her. But you know, again, the final scene, Devin brought it up, but the final scene with Suzu saving Tomo and Kei, like the whole thing, all of it, it just smacks of, look, we got 30 minutes to wrap this shit up. Let's just throw some shit out there. Like, I wasn't really convinced that Suzu needed to reveal herself. They just kind of threw that shit in there. I hated how they figured out where Kei and Tomo stayed. It was some NCIS bullshit to the max, man. It was
that's what it was.
Enhanced photo. Look, it's over there. They playing this. I'm like, damn, y'all better than Batman. Y'all need to give Bruce Wayne a call. Say, hey, man, you don't know nothing about this here, boy.
You
I
know
don't know how they enhance live video. It was going.
They did, bro. I don't know how they did that.
I will say, to be fair, I mean, even though this was in 2022, there are people out there now, like internet sleuths, who you put any like minor detail out there, they are able to figure out where you are, which kind of shows.
Yeah, there is a dude that do that for real.
I guess the dangers of the internet in that case, which also kind of links back to what you were talking about, Sage, about Suzu essentially doxing herself. It's like, we don't see the repercussions of that. Like,
no,
there could have been a lot to go wrong after that. The fact that she just revealed herself to everybody. She was one of the most popular people in You with millions of users, and everybody knows who she is now. I think there'd be a lot more problems to come along with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that just, the fact you brought that up, because I didn't think about it till you said it, that just shows you how badly they wanted to do a happy ending. Like, because a lot of the shit she was doing is like, hey, man, there really should not have been a happy ending for you. Like, I mean, you should have, I mean, like, all the dark shit that could have happened, like, the fact that, like, when she walked in there and then, like, rushed off, everybody allowed this 17-year-old child to rush off on a train ride. A fucking train ride. Like, you going, that shit did not look close at all.
No,
Like
not at all.
they didn't feel comfortable doing that ride in a car. So it's
Yes.
probably longer than. Well, I mean, like I won't actually. Let me go back because like what a car ride is to us and what a car ride
very
is to people in
different.
other
It's
countries is very
different. Yeah.
But still, that train ride was it looked like it took some hours even by train because she left I think at night and got there in the morning. And I'm like, okay, well, first
And
off,
it was
the
raining
kids
when
would
she
have
got
been
there.
fucked up, and they wasn't for some reason. So, that like, cause she went looking for him, and then like just like Devin said, like she just wandered around the neighborhood. She don't actually know where they stay. She just kind of looking around.
She found
She
the landmark.
saw where they stayed at. She saw that was like
found the
far off in the
landmark.
distance. I'm like,
she was like, bet. Right there,
And
this
the fact
general
that
area
the kids,
here.
I'm like, okay, well, why are the kids out? Because after the dad seen what happened, he would have locked them in a closet or something at the least. Like, I don't understand. Like, why were they allowed to just leave the house like that? Like, what's going on?
Well,
And then, never mind the fact that after the dad, like, once he showed it, like, he had gone so far, and then suddenly he was just like, fuck it. And I mean, like, yeah, I agreed that ultimately he just like realized, like, oh, okay, I've gone too far. But what's up, Will?
a point about the dad because it kind of showed itself during the live video feed. Like I'm not gonna say he was negligent, but I'm gonna say he was very absent-minded about about his abuse. And I don't promote that shit, so please don't say I do. But the son of a bitch took it upon himself to walk in the room, raise hand over them after the whole seeing they was online, and then just walks out. That's it. He don't make it his business. He's like, I'm in here working. Shut your mouth while I'm in here working. I'll work for y'all. I'm trying to make sure y'all have a happy life, this, that, and the third. And he just come in there, makes the threat, maybe swing a couple times and leave. He don't lock doors and nothing. It's clear he got some semblance of a conscience, or they just chose to make him be that way. But he never locks a door or did anything to keep them captive. He's just like, this is y'all room, y'all stay here. But they managed to get out after all the rigmarole that happened over the internet. So
I mean, abuse looks different.
I know
that's true.
Different in different cases. So I guess, but I mean, like they talked about how like that was a big point of the dragon having all these bruises. So like very clearly, like we can't just sit here and say, oh man, he wasn't physically abusive. Like, nah, he got them bruises from somewhere.
But still,
so
he got
what's up, Terance?
But, yeah.
Which one thing I will say, I remember the first time I watched this when they kept calling them bruises. I was like, but isn't that just his clothes? Which I mean, you could argue that that's meant to be part of his skin, I guess. But just the way they kept calling them bruises, but he was clearly wearing like a cape, it was throwing me off. I was like, how are there bruises on the cloth? But I mean, that's neither here nor there. I mean, I know that that's not the point, but that's just one of those things where I just thought about it the more that I saw
thought maybe they implied like he probably was getting hit physically and it just had bruises on his shirt. That's what I thought.
They're also meant to be like emotional scars, so it's not like they were necessarily like physical, but it's also what gave him his strength, which is why they said that even though he was a kid, the reason why he was so strong is because he had been through so much that he had built up like not only like in the world it would convey it as physical strength in you. So yeah,
right.
It raises questions like how is you able to analyze like a person so minutely, like some shit that you wasn't sharing with nobody at all, and it just knew that he was getting his ass whooped on the daily.
I was like, sir, your body is fucked up. We gotta put it in the game. Like, damn,
that is a good point.
You really taking damage, sir. Plus 900 strength.
Yeah, man. I'm like, oh, okay, like it's all kind of little things you have to hand wave, and I do feel like one of the I feel like they didn't want to show abuse like directly.
Yes.
And because of that, the film is weaker to me as a whole. Like it's weaker, like not wanting to show the kids getting hit, not wanting to show the actual danger that Suzu would have been in. She just kind of like she got scratched. And then, that was a pretty brutal cut, and the way that they animated it was pretty brutal, but like that was light work. And then like to compare it to the fact that like, oh, your mom risked her life and like she basically died. She knew she was probably going to die saving that kid. And it's like, okay, well, this nigga he wasn't really in danger, apparently, because he wasn't really built like that. And I don't know, like, I just feel like they didn't convey the danger to me the way that I would have wanted. Like, I got it, but I'm also like,
I was gonna say I was gonna say the danger wasn't presented like you said, but I think they tried to show the abuse in a different way. And it was when the beast had kind of crumpled over and you saw them spots on his back kind of light up red.
Yeah.
I think that's the way they tried to show it without showing it. They were just like, it's happening here. He's getting hit right now. So I think that's what they were trying to show, but they just didn't show it the way, like presently show it like, hey, this is happening in real life right
like
now,
in the real
not
world,
in the game.
It is definitely, and I would have been fine with that. I guess, like the part that, and I mean, like I understand not wanting to, like it's a conscious choice to not show the abuse, like the physical abuse, but then there's some kind of incongruity there when like you see him like huddled over his brother and trying to protect his brother, but all the dad does is just yell at him, and I'm like, nah. At this point, you've shown me something where I'm like, okay, I can put two and two together. And I did put two and two together, but it would have been, I hate to say like it would have been nice because it wouldn't be nice to see that, but just like he just yelling and I'm like, okay, well, clearly this is where he's supposed to be kicking the shit out of this kid. And y'all just like, you didn't want to show that. And I know that was intentional. I just question if that was the right path to take.
No, I completely understand what you're getting at. And that's kind of like something I was going to bring up too, because it's one of those things where when you try to explore controversial subject matter, you really do have to be careful how you do so, because if you like undersell it, you can make it seem as like not as big of a deal as it is supposed to be. But then if you oversell it, you risk people saying like you're being exploitive of it or trying to like create shock value. So you do have to find like that fine in between with it.
Or alienating the people who actually go through that specific trauma.
Right.
You might want to trigger them.
Agreed. But yeah, I mean, like it's really the final scenes, the final 20 minutes or so that I'm like, okay, like I needed, especially because like at the end they do like that's such a sad like life for those kids to have been living through, and they kind of just like, oh, and then I came and stared at the dad really hard, and then we all live happily ever after. I'm like, okay,
yeah, we don't see what happened to them.
That was just what I was about to say. Like, you never really see what happens to the kids. Like, you assume that the cops took them in or whatever, but like, okay, now, like what's going on? Like, I don't know. Like, the fact that they just went back to Suzu and were like, okay, but now she's past her trauma. Well, what about them other kids? Because they got fucked up and they got worse trauma. Like, they're dealing with something worse. And I would have liked a little bit more follow up with them. But I mean, it's still. I'm not gonna say that it's a bad movie. I'm probably landing like initially I was gonna say, even though despite all my issues, I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm landing at a 7.5 the longer I talk and think about it. There you go.
Yeah.
Rajhkeem, what's up, man? How'd you feel about the film?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, Sage. I kind of, we often feel similarly about certain films, but I was very like, how do I really feel about this? This film, of course, is a film that deals with trauma. The main epitome of it is Suzu, the main character, losing her mother at a very young age. Her mother sacrifices herself to save a child who would have drowned, putting her life vest on her. And that trauma is a big part of this film. She is completely and utterly trapped in her own, like almost in her own body by the trauma, not able to sing. She feels, I know there was a point in this film where she felt almost like, and I think this is a part of the reason she feels so bad, is that she feels like her mother's selfless act is selfish because she didn't think about what would happen to her daughter once she was gone. And I think it is kind of cool to explore when people do good deeds and sacrifice themselves, the people that are left behind are left to pick up the scraps. Watching this film, you as a viewer, you feel helpless. Like, she's dealing with so much pain all the time. Especially like early in the film when you see her doing her routine. Like, you see the part of the film where she's Belle and she's singing in this great, what I call the combination of the digital world, Digimon, Mega Man Battle Network, and then you come back to Classroom of the Elite at the end.
Classroom of the Elite? Oh, no.
It's rough out here.
But yeah, and then seeing her daily life, I actually feel like the daily life stuff to me was what I was more interested in than the VR stuff. You wouldn't think that with all the spectacle and the animation, but like the personal moments and like seeing how she actually lived in contrast, that's the part of films that actually kind of were strong to me. And Sage brought up a good point in his conversation on the movie. She had a support group. She had friends. She had people who she could confide in, but she was not ready to have that conversation with them. And just like as a viewer, I felt helpless to help her. I felt like all of her friends tried to help her in a different way. Like her best friend, the hacker chick whose name I cannot remember off the top
I
of my
don't
head.
remember off the top of my head either.
Um,
I'll get you.
Yeah.
She's very matter of fact. She's like, "Oh, this is just the
Tomo.
way."
Wait,
yeah,
no,
Tomo.
that's not right.
Hiroka.
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 Yeah.
Hiroka is like very matter of fact. Hey, this is what's happening with you. This is how you feel about this. Do you like this dude? This, that. Very analytical. And once she becomes Belle, she basically becomes her manager. Like she's like basically managing everything, how it's supposed to work, the production, the outfits. Like in her own way, she's like trying to guide Belle in this career as her way of trying to help Belle as a friend. And then you have Shinobu, who's the guardian, who's been a friend since she was a little boy. They were little kids, and he's like almost like that older cousin who looks out for you that you don't always talk to all the time, but you know they care about you, but y'all aren't super close anymore. Like, hey man, how your mom, how your dad doing? How are you all right? And there are times when you are like, if you're dealing with a tragedy or you're dealing with pain internally, you ain't trying to hear that shit. Everybody go through that. Like if you lose somebody, I know like my personal experience, I lost my brother. At a certain point, like you just don't want to hear that shit. Like no one can quite understand exactly how you feel with your personal connection to this specific individual because everyone's dynamics are different. And I feel like every one of her friends approached trying to help her differently. Shinobu was like the guy he was almost like heavy-handed, like trying to make sure she was straight. And then of course her father, they had a strained relationship because of loss of a mother, because they both lost someone. And he was also dealing with trauma in his own way, and he was distant, and because he has a better understanding probably than anyone else about the loss because that was his wife. And they definitely their relationship is strained. He's trying to reach out to her a little bit, but she's very distant. And everyone in their own way is trying to help her and wait for her to like reach out. But also, it is cool that outside of personal relationships, because she couldn't sing anymore and she had this close relationship with her mother through music, it was cool to see that slipping into this VR world allowed her to free herself from that trauma, that pain, and allow herself to show her voice. There's a very strong component of, freedom in general in this film and like finding yourself and getting away from the trauma that traps you. But I also like the juxtaposition about how people view you, because social media in general, or like the public, is like a character of itself in this film.
Yeah.
Very, very commonly in this film, you see all the time people text messaging or commenting on Belle or personal situations, her classmates, and text messages and emails, Instagram, social media. It's all over this film. And it becomes its own character because you can see the ebb and flow of like how people talk down about you when they see you come up. How you get fans who are diehards out of nowhere. How people opinions change on you just depending on who they think you're dating or talking to, and like that dynamic, like the war dynamic, like the part with what they thought her and Shinobu were dating, and like the whole school lost his fucking mind, and she had to put the fire out. That was cool. I ain't gonna lie, that was cool. That was cool because rumors do spread like that in high school. Like I remember when I was in high school, I was dating a girl, and everybody in school, I'm not joking, my entire homeroom class sat me down like a cartoon or a TV show and said, "You cannot date this girl. This girl is terrible." Everybody. I had an intervention in homeroom. My entire class was like, "Don't do it. Please.
Damn.
Don't do it."
Which kind of brings up a point about how kids or like teenagers now have to navigate that sort of thing with social media, whereas for us, social media wasn't quite there yet, not in the way that it is now. We didn't have that, but we had to deal with it in a much different way than kids have to now, and I couldn't imagine doing it now. That'd be oof.
Yeah. We got the early parts of it because we got like
we got the
Bebo.
beta test.
stuff
Yeah.
like that. Like Bebo,
MySpace.
the first year of
Live journal and
MySpace, live
Yeah.
Facebook at the very beginning when we were just
Yeah.
playing games and
Mhm.
saying what we were doing every day. Like the context of social media for us was like, oh, this is a cool thing. We could just talk to our friends online.
It was more like
And
live
it-
journaling, and if people wanted to like follow your journey, they could. Whereas now, no, you do not want to treat social media like a live journal. Don't do that.
Nah,
Yeah.
nah.
You gonna get all the judges
Yeah.
on your back.
Man,
the minute
people
you
people were
post
so
something.
nosy in this movie. Across the movie, like, man, this ain't your business. Shut up. Like, get out of that. Yeah. But yeah, as far as like the parts of them I liked, of course, the animation in the U-verse, the digital world, as I called it while I was watching it, was really cool. Very beautiful. This movie is essentially a musical too. So like some really great soundtracks and combinations of like appearances, especially at the end with the final song. Oh my God.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they
Fire.
threw the bus at it. It is a
yeah.
spectacle to watch, spectacle to hear. I do agree. There are some scenes where I'm like, okay, this is cool, but I don't know if it was needed. Like the part where she reverted to her normal self, in the middle of performance went back to being Belle. I was like, what was the point of that then?
Also, real quick, how did the gun shoot?
What gun?
How did the light shoot?
Oh.
Because she
Oh,
just
yeah.
grabbed his arm. Like, but he clearly showed that how he worked that gun earlier in the movie like 2 times. How did it
Yeah.
just shoot by her grabbing his arm?
And he was ready to fire with the KFC cannon, man.
You know what I'm
Like-
saying?
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, yeah, because like it seemed like it was
He had to transform.
he
it.
had to like do it to his will to make it
Yeah.
work at first, but then when she was like just
Maybe
shoot
it was
me,
on his
he
mind,
acted
he
like he
wanted
had
to
no
do it
control
then.
over it. Yeah, I see what
and
you
I was
mean.
like, how? Like, you know,
Like I
Hey,
said,
man, that
maybe it was on his mind in that moment. He's
Hey,
like,
man.
nah, let me see your face.
The
Go
Mega
ahead.
Buster works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, the McDonald's Mega Buster was, the reason why I keep doing that, by the way, is because like when he first tried to use it, a bunch of sponsors appeared in the background. Like that was
Oh,
how
yeah.
was firing the
I'm
cannon.
glad you
And
mentioned
so the
that.
Then he
whole
lost
movie,
his
me and Keem,
sponsors.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
lost
then he
sponsors
lost
when
his
Belle went
sponsors.
off.
the whole movie, me and Keem, I just kept coming up with different names to call it, like just sponsor-based cannon names, man. So I was like, is that what's going on?
The Starbucks Star
McKinnon.
Blaster, man.
The Popeyes pop-off laser. Like,
$5
really good?
firearm.
yeah,
That $5 firearm is
the
crazy.
Subway shooter.
Mm.
We gotta be careful with that one.
Yeah, we do. Right? Yeah, we gotta be careful.
We gotta be careful with that one.
Sorry.
For content. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah, the visual parts of this film, I really liked the audio, the music, the musicality of a direction. Of course, Beauty and the Beast, also one of my favorite films growing up. We grew up, like all of us were in our 30s, so we grew up in like the peak Disney era, like where it was like every film they put out was like a moment in time. And I saw, I had Beauty and the Beast on VHS. I wore that movie out. I watched it so many times. So watching the context of this anime and then just knowing what scenes they're playing off of was really cool. Like when they did the scene in the ballroom and they're doing the dance, like, oh man, that's a really cool callback. The little AI drones being the stand-ins for inanimate objects that were alive. So that was cool.
Yeah.
The part where his body was like in pain, similar to how Beast was in the film, mimicking that scene, that was cool too. I mean, it was really cool in those scenes. And I do say this though, there were parts of this film like in the middle where I was kind of taken aback. I think when I was watching this, there were parts where I was like, man, some of this is going really fast. Like, okay, Belle's a rock star. She got millions of people and she got full career now. Okay, she just online all the time. She got a career. She's singing and
I
go.
think
And
we
then
brought that
Beast
up,
showed
like
up. Yeah.
the fact that she like sang that one song and then the next day she had 2 million followers, and it was like, that's
Hey,
not how that works.
Hey,
like,
you know what
it takes
people in
years to
real
build
life,
up.
how people would be, they'd be like, oh, she's an industry plant.
The industry
Man.
You already know, bro.
That's exactly what they would say.
They would definitely be like, "Ain't no way you got 2 million followers overnight. Like this is a setup." Or
And-
hell, these days they'd be like, "It's AI, it's bots."
It's a sign.
And also, like, I felt like, I mean, it was cool that, the figuring out who Beast was plot, but I felt like that dragged. And I don't know about dragged, but I didn't care that much about the subplot of like finding out who Beast was. Like, that was point, so like, where they were going and they had all these red herrings. Like, this guy, he has tattoos on his body, but it's art because his girlfriend died. Or this professional baseball player has scars on his body. Oh, this is one older Japanese woman. She might be it. What I'll tell you, I didn't care about those subplots at all. Like, I just knew they were red herrings. Like, it was the most obvious red herrings ever. And I feel like that was unneeded. I felt like we could have gotten to that in a different, especially how they found out who it was at the end. I think we could have gotten that without this contrived way of showing these other characters who were there and cool, but not central to the plot of this movie. It almost felt like watching an OVA where they were speeding past the long plots that you would get to like an episode.
As you were saying it, I was thinking in my head, like, this would have been better as like a 12-episode show.
Yes,
where
a little
you got
bit.
to spend a little bit more time with the characters and develop the stuff. And even like the stuff where you're like, did we need this? It could have worked in the show, like in a longer show.
Cause I was like, man, this would have been cool if like you had an episode where they found the Japanese dude and he was at the grave of his girlfriend and they, talked to him about it and he dealt with his issues. He wouldn't, yeah. Wow. Or the baseball player who looked like Mark McGuire with the scars, like, I got these scars, man. I had a surgery, and I almost died, but I was strong. Yeah, I held on so kids, even if you sick and you can grow up and be strong
he
like
gave
me.
A whole babyface promo.
He gave a babyface promo. So yeah, that one parts of this film, like, man, this is going so fast. I almost felt like it was like a shortened version of a series. That's what it kind of felt like in the middle to me sometimes. And that kind of like whiplash did take me out of it sometimes a little bit. Also, like I said, the ending, the very end where it comes together, it did feel a little rushed. I did like the women. I assume that we said they was like her mom's friends.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
And them coming together to help her, that was cool. Like, man, ain't nothing like a group of like older women who like try to help you out. Like, man, they got your back. When I promise they got your back, they got your back. Especially women who sing. Like, if you ever been in choir and you work with older people in choir, like those people know what they're doing. They're like so much more confident in you. You can always look to them for advice or help. So I kind of felt a special connection there, like growing up in church and like you want to talk to the older women and get advice about singing or like working on songs and going out. Like that was a cool moment. But yeah, when you get to the end and not only we mentioned the dude backing off, but we need to tell the whole story. Not only did he back off, he got on the ground and was screaming and crawling. No fear.
That's what I was like. Okay.
She the MVP. She the GOAT. That man lost as soon as he was confronted back at all. That man lost all power. I was like, man, this kid should just slap the shit out of him and walk out the house. He'd be good to go. This man is toothless. That man had no backbone. This was crazy. But to me, like what I saw in that moment, even though it was weird, to me, I saw her confronting damn near the physical embodiment of her own trauma that kept her down. Like coming to terms with the pain and like the stuff she was dealing with. This felt like it coming back to her and realizing it can't control her anymore. So even though it was like a father abusing his kids in the scale of the movie and the story, that trauma that was holding her back, that was keeping her from singing, that was keeping her from, moving forward her life, that was her physical way of saying, you will not control me anymore. And once she stood up to it, it had no more power over her. So that's why I saw it as, but the way it came off was really funny. It was hilarious, bro. That man lost it, man. If you have a chance, audience, to watch this film, when you get to that part, and it's a very serious film. This is about abuse and that's about physical. So I'm not taking this in just in that way. That like trauma is very serious and physical domestic abuse is very serious. But the way this man loses is, wow. It's one of a kind. He crumbled. He couldn't handle it. So yeah, I do feel like that moment was more an encapsulation of her character arc as a whole, how the trauma had kept her. Like, she was on this, I think the movie early on did a great job of showing her when she was doing her routine, when she would walk to school, and she lived in the country. So she had to, kind of go out and go to school in the city, and she would do the same thing every day. She would walk across that bridge and you had the water. And there was parts of the movie where she would she was trying to sing and she threw up, and the part where she stumbled on the bridge and stuff like that. And now she's able to kind of stay confident and actually walk and do her own thing. I thought that was pretty cool. So she had a good character arc and dynamic. I just think the film at certain points handled some of it a little wonky, and at certain parts of it in the middle were like, eh. So for me, as a total, I'm very much in line with Sage. I'll give it about 7.5. I can't give it. I just feel like there are certain parts of the film that just don't quite do it for me compared to the rest of the film. Like animation, the music is all there. Hell, even the fight scenes, the limited. I didn't expect fight scenes. This just didn't seem like type of movie.
I really didn't.
I saw hands being thrown. The hands was lit. Hands being thrown was immaculate. But this wasn't a movie about throwing hands. Ironically, at the end where father was throwing hands, but this really wasn't a movie about throwing hands. It's about getting over trauma and getting over pain and dealing with loss in different ways, and then how we eventually use people around us to help us deal with our own losses. So the message was clear. I just think certain parts of the film were just okay. So I just think I get a movie about 7.5. I think it was decent.
Okay. Terance, take us home, bro.
All right. Well, you all like, I actually really enjoyed this discussion. This is either my third or fourth time watching this movie. The first time that I watched it, I saw it in theaters, and I really enjoyed it the first time that I watched it. The second time, I think I watched it with some friends, and talking to them, there were parts of it that they kind of like broke down, and also me watching it for the second time, I was able to be like, maybe that's not quite as good as I thought it was the first time, and it brought my opinion on it down a little bit. And so seeing it now, like either the third or fourth, I can't remember if I watched it the third time. We'll just say this is the third time. Watching it again, I can see a blend of both viewings for me, and hearing how you all have talked about it, it also kind of helps me put everything together. I guess I'll start off first with, of course, the pros. The visuals are great. Like you all have said, both the 2D animation and 3D animation. The 3D animation in everything was well animated, very colorful. I do like how, even though most of the characters in the universe are meant to be like NPCs from like Belle or like the main character and there's the supporting cast perspective, they still stand out. Like even the scenes when they were just showing not people in but just people talking on social media, like they had the little windows of like different kids, different adults and whatnot, giving their perspectives on I think it was about Belle. Well, yeah, who they thought Belle was. No, who they thought the Beast was. That's what it was. Like that particular scene where they just showed different people, and they showed all types of people, different skin colors, different ages. Like it was actually really cool how this film, for it being about the internet, it did showcase the internet. Like it showcased it in a very real way in terms of how there's so many different people on there, how all of us have different opinions, even down to the fact that when you're on the internet, sometimes that anonymity can make us a lot more cruel and heartless than we would be even in real life. Yeah. Like, for example, like the way people were talking about Suzu's mom after she made that sacrifice, like she sacrificed her life to save a child.
Yeah, that's probably one of the most, that. Holy shit.
Oh, yeah, that was like, that's one of the most admirable things you could do is put your life on the line to save a child. And people were like, oh, that's what you get for trying to be a hero. Like, did you think your daughter wasn't worth sticking around for? I'm like, why the hell would you people say this? Wild. Like, why would you even have the gall to say something like that, even anonymously?
That was a raging river, not a pond that she was diving in. So I'm like, hey, man, shut the fuck up.
What was crazy about that, too, is in context, Suzu, because of that, that's why she's so, like, when she sees people's messages, she's like, can barely handle it because she remembers that moment when she was a kid and people so critical of her mom dying. And now she hangs on with every negative opinion she sees.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, why would you put even those words out there when you know that there's a child who could potentially read them and like suffer even more as a result? Like that just blew my mind. I was like, wow, I mean, that's effed up, but it is realistic in how some people are. Like people will get online and because they're anonymous, they'll do all sorts of things and say all types of shit that they would not normally do in real life, or at least you would have a little more apprehension of doing in real life. I'll put it that way. Because somebody might punch you in the face. Yeah, but Yeah, visually the film is great. Music is definitely a highlight of the film. For me, the first time I watched this, I remember going home and immediately trying to find the OST. In Japanese and in English, they're both great. I listened to let's see, the first song, which the title song, "You." Then you have "Lend Me Your Voice," the one that she sings with the Beast during like the Beauty and the Beast scene, and then "A Million Miles." That song is very beautiful. The one at the end, like that is so well done. Like the segment where everybody in "You" is like singing together as like a choir. Like, man, that it sounds great. So yeah, the OST for this is, in my opinion, far and away the highlight of the film. And if anything, I think that's worth, like that. I feel like the music is worth watching this film for alone.
Yeah.
I'll also say the Japanese and the English dubs, they're both great. For the English dub, they actually went out of their way to get a professional singer to voice Suzu and do the vocals for Belle. She knocks it out apart. Like, they really did a good job of dubbing the songs. And of course, in Japanese, everything sounds great as well. But yeah, I feel like this is one of those films where you could watch it either way and you wouldn't walk away with like a lesser performance from watching one or the other. But yeah, I agree with Rajhkeem and Sage. I agree with the two of you that I am conflicted with how this film resolves some of its plot elements. It's like, I get what they were going for, but it feels like they had a little too much dip on their chip, as Devin likes to say, or they chose to do it in like a problematic way. Like, anytime you have a case of like abuse, especially like child abuse, you have to walk a fine line with how you depict it or how you talk about it. And I feel like this film didn't want to quite, it wanted to go there, but then it kind of like held itself back.
Didn't want to be there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it wanted to give us a happy ending without really acknowledging the true problematic nature of it all. I will say that the element of Suzu essentially needing to like dox herself, while I do get it that it was the way the film is trying to do it is it's trying to convey it that this is almost like the same in a sense. It's not the same, but it's trying to picture it as the same, is that her putting her like life out there on the line, like her revealing her true self, because that's another thing, is that because it's the internet, everybody like has this lens that they want you to see, and they want you to see specific things, not everything. And the only way that she was going to get the two brothers to trust her again was for her to reveal her true self, much like her mom, how her true self was being like that sacrificial person, which, I mean, a lot of moms are. So she sacrificed herself to save that kid who was clearly in danger, and nobody else was going to do anything, regardless of how it was going to turn out. And I feel like that's where that's the parallel they were trying to draw with Suzu, is by her revealing herself to everybody and putting herself out there. She was sacrificing herself in the same way that her mom did. Now, like I said, because we don't see the aftermath of that, we don't know how that is reflected in terms of real world consequences, like her now being revealed as Belle. Now that everyone knows, does that make her real life more problematic? Does it create an issue that...
Nah, man, she got transformed back, and then everybody sang along with her while she rode on a giant whale.
That was another thing. I'm like, how did she transform back?
I think the people that ran the world just were moved by what she did and gave her back her old form.
I will say that this movie does kind of give the internet a bit more credit than I think I would, that everybody would be all that nice in the very end. I don't think so. Yeah. But I mean, it is a movie after all. I understand that not everything's meant to be realistic, and it does need to have a bit of happiness to it for a very otherwise kind of dour film. What's up?
I mean, like, I would agree with you, but it's like they were so realistically portraying the internet all the way up until the very end. And then they were like, happy ending, fuck it. It was the internet was cynical, and they showed how it could turn on you, and they showed how people could be dicks and all of that shit. Like, okay, that's the real fucking internet. And then at the very end, they were like, no. We got to get the happy ending. We are the world. We are the children.
We are the children.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajhkeem.
Yeah, which is why I am conflicted with how this movie handles its plot elements, because I get what they were trying to do, but you could very much argue that the execution just wasn't there. like even we've talked about it, the case at the end with the two brothers when Suzu goes off to find them and confront the dad. That is not something a teenage girl should have to have done by herself. The fact that none of the adults went with her, not even like,
and she had plenty.
Yeah, I would have hoped at the very least, if none of the adults were gonna go, at least like Shinobu or like a guy would have gone with her. Like a teenage girl confronting a father, an abusive father. Like, no, that's not. There's no good lesson that. Like, I understand what the movie was trying to do, but the lesson that is conveyed there is like, no, that's not how that should have been handled at all. And they did show that little quick bit where they did try to call the police, and the police were like, "There's nothing we could do," which supposedly
something
gave them
about it needed to be 48 hours after the incident or some nonsense. I said,
yeah, I don't know. I feel like they put that scene in there just to give them an out, so that way you couldn't question her going off on her own too much. But I feel like no, there's still too many problematic elements with that.
I mean, either way, it did depict the police as it should be, useless until too late.
I mean, yeah, that is true. Yeah,
I'm just calling it like it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. And also, I guess if we're also looking at this through like a Japanese lens, we don't quite know how that works in Japan. So
true.
Maybe like CPS is different in terms of how they handle things there. So we don't fully know. We're looking at it through an American lens. There could be a whole nother way that they handle that sort of thing. I apologize at 50%,
but still.
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's the way I feel.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I just still feel like even with that, the lesson still isn't a very good one. Like the way they resolved that, I just did not like that.
Right.
Even like the first time I watched it, I still was like, something's off about this. And then when I watched it the second time, I was like, yeah, no, that's not at all how you should handle this.
It is ironic too. It is ironic too, because if we talk about CPS, like in America, I know some people with CPS. If a CPS worker goes to somebody's house with an abuse claim, they don't go to the house without police.
Yeah,
they don't just go there by themselves.
No, they don't.
Yeah, because I mean, like if this person actually is abusive, then they are confirmed violent. So
yeah. The police gotta pull up with you.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, we've talked at length about the other points, and like I said, I agree with all of you all. Like, there's different elements that you all have brought to it that it shows why. I will say that discussing this film shows why it is important to like talk to other people about films and like discuss, like have like media literacy and media conversations to see how other people may have processed something versus you. That way, you can like pull something from what somebody else may have viewed on it versus the way that you feel about it, and you can maybe like see like, okay, like I didn't see it that way, and then maybe like process it that way. And I just like media analysis. Like I like when I watch films, like going home and hopping on YouTube and seeing, especially for certain films where like the films are very dense, seeing how people break it down, how they thought about it, and look at some elements that maybe I didn't see a certain way, and vice versa. So I think that this is a film that on its surface, like if you watch it just for like the music and the visuals, I think you can have a fun time here. Like I think that this is a good movie, but I think plot wise, when you really dive into it, there are like some dodgy or like problematic elements that I wish they had explored a bit better. Or like Sage said earlier, maybe this would have been better as like a series or like an OVA series or something like that. That way they could kind of dive into stuff a little bit. Yeah.
12, maybe 13.
Yeah, just so they could flesh out some things better. Because as a movie, it does feel like there's certain elements they kind of rush through in order to get to the end. And just kind of like wrap everything up in a neat bow. And it's not the neatest bow, I'll put it that way. But overall, I recommend this film. Like, I do think that it is worth watching, but I don't think it's like some critical darling or one of those animated films where it's going to be held to like the highest of animated film standards, or even like anime films. Like I think it's good, but
maybe
it's
soundtrack.
Not great. Yeah, soundtrack. Yeah, I could give it that, but plot wise, I don't think it's up there. If anything, I at least appreciate that we get these films in the West now, because before we wouldn't have, and I'm really glad that Demon Slayer opened up the doors for that. When Demon Slayer did well, like everybody's like, you know what? Send all them anime films to the West.
We can get a little money off this.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm along the same lines as Rajhkeem and Sage. I think I'd give this a 7.5. Like I think my first viewing I did give it like an 8, but yeah, there are just some plot elements there that drag it down for me, and I think the more you watch it, the more holes that you can poke into it. So it's a good movie, but it's not a great movie. So I still recommend it, but you know, enjoy it for the music and for the visuals, but don't think maybe too hard about the plot.
Don't think about it too much.
I would have. I think I would have liked it more if maybe they had said you was like everywhere, but you had your own version of you that was like localized to a city or a neighborhood. And then like you that shrinks the cast and you don't have all this excess shit like like Keem was talking about all the red herrings, people all over the world. It's like, okay, that's a little too much for like some little kids to be dealing with. And then like maybe she doesn't have to hop on a fucking train, like because that's the part that really stretches the believability. Like if she had ran off without anybody else knowing and just said, "Oh, I'm finna go save these kids," but it was within her neighborhood, I would have been like, "Oh, okay, yeah, that makes a little more sense." And it's less. You're not stretching believability, but like somebody gave her a car ride to a train and then let her get on a train by herself and go all the way to Tokyo. And now they clearly weren't anywhere near that. Like when they showed the GPS thing, it was like, man, that's a long way off. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like it might, I feel like if they had shrunk the cast in that kind of way or shrunk the world in that kind of way, it would have been better. I don't know. That's just me.
I think they could have even like with the her mother's friend, they could have been like, had a scene where either two things. They say, okay, we see so they drop her off, right? And they say have a conversation like, we shouldn't let her go. And then they're like, well, we see her mom too much in her. We know she's not gonna, something like that to kind of like allude to like, hey, she's just like her mom. She has to do this. Or they could have did it like, hey, her mom's gone. We have to kind of be her motherly figures. We can't let you go over there. I think those two things could have been, because like y'all, it's like 4 grown adult women. Y'all just not gonna let this girl. Like y'all should have been like, look, you look. It was our unsworn, unsaid promise to your mother's dying. Hey, we gonna protect your child, so we can't let you do this. I feel like that should have been like a scene with conversation. We can't let you go there alone, or something like.
They even like bring it up like, should we let her go alone? And it's like, no.
The answer is no.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely no. So I don't know. Like I don't want to overthink that part, but I mean that is the part where it's just like, okay, this film would have been probably a 9 if without the last 20 minutes leaving so many questions and so many like things where you're like, that doesn't work. It probably would have been a 9. It probably would have been almost a perfect film. So I'm like, man, there's so many other ways that I wish y'all had handled that. Maybe somebody else, if you watch it, y'all can explain it to us in the comments, man. Let us know, like, what are we missing?
Maybe they knew she was the next Ghost Rider and she had the penance there. maybe they already was privy to that. It's like, hey, she good.
She might have had it. So that man cowered in fear.
He did.
Maybe he looked at her eyes and he was like, "Oh, stop it! It can't be me."
I'm not like him. I'm not like him.
Oh no!
All right, that's gonna wrap this week up.
Adorable.
Oh God, that's definitely gonna wrap this week up. If you're new to us and like this episode, I want you to hit the like button, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.